So you're thinking about moving to Seattle?
Or Bellevue.
Well, stick around. In this video, we're gonna do a comparison video of what it's actually like as locals to live in Seattle versus Bellevue. So what are the pros and cons of each and kind of how do they compare to each other? So if you're looking to learn more about those two things, stick around. We're gonna get after it right now. Hey, if this is your first time to the channel and you want to know all there is to know about living in King County, Washington, or places like Bellevue and Seattle, like we're talking about today, then hit the subscribe button, tap the bell for notifications. That way you can be the first to be notified of a new video of Bellevue, Seattle, or one of our other favorite cities here in King County. I'm Brad Decatur, Derek Decatur here. We're the Decatur home team, and we get calls, texts, and emails from people just like you every day who are looking to make their move to King County. So whether you're 1 day or 1 year away, we would love to help you make a smooth move. All the contact info is below, so feel free to reach out once you're ready. Call, text, email, Zoom, whatever you need to do. So, Derek, let's kick it off. Seattle versus Bellevue. We're going to do some categories and kind of compare and contrast, Sure.
Sure.
But I guess just first, what do you think in general?
You know, first thoughts, obviously Seattle, it's the quote unquote hub of Washington. When people think of Washington, they think of Seattle, which I understand. For those of us living here, I think most of us probably think Bellevue, though.
If you're on the east side, I would say.
Yeah.
Well, let's do the categories.
Sure.
Okay, so we're looking at like price, kind of things to do, I guess cleanliness, city living, because they're
Schools.
both, school districts for sure. They're both big cities.
Yep.
So let's do pricing first. So I guess I'll go.
No, go ahead. Pricing.
So pricing, Bellevue is going to be one of the most expensive areas here in all of Washington State. I mean, besides like Medina, Mercer Island, pretty up there too, but Bellevue is very, very expensive. So when we look at the statistics for average and kind of median prices, Bellevue is going to be significantly more expensive than Seattle. Contrary to belief, because I think outsiders think, oh, Seattle, that's like the San Francisco of, but really.
I would think so, yeah.
Yep.
I would think so. I mean, the conversations I've had with people, Seattle's the first thing that comes to mind, so you think that's probably going to be a higher price point.
Yeah.
Not
Bellevue,
the case.
No. So Seattle's median price point, this is for all condos and regular single families, but just about $750,000. And then Bellevue is well over 1.25. It's about 1.3 million. And if you're looking at just single families, like an actual house, it's even more of a discrepancy.
Yep.
Bellevue's average is over 1.5 million for a single family house, and Seattle's is just about 800,000.
Yeah, and I think part of that is because of some of the things that we will get into here.
Surprising though, right? Don't you think?
No, it is. Well,
outside?
and it is, and it's changed because Bellevue has grown a ton.
Yeah.
Even in the 20 years we've been probably paying attention to it.
Yeah.
It's vastly different, and the housing prices have gone up significantly.
Yep, totally.
From where it all started. I mean, even going down Bellevue, there's only a few pockets left now of some of the homes that were there.
Right.
Which is kind of cool to actually go see now.
Yeah, Old Bellevue.
Old Bellevue, yes, exactly.
All right, well, how about you take over school districts? How about?
School districts. So yeah, if you look at the state statistics for school districts, Bellevue is going to win out. I think Bellevue was 2 in the last
Number 2
state ranking, and Seattle's 7. So a fairly large discrepancy in school districts. 7's not terrible, obviously, but it's not 2. I mean, it's tough to beat 2. Only
Mercer
1
Island
beats
is
2.
number 1. Yeah.
So Bellevue's going to win on school districts for sure. Of course, just like any major city, and both of these are major cities.
Yeah.
You're going to have pockets and specific schools within those pockets that far exceed the average in those schools in the districts, I should say.
I would say. I mean, Seattle's a lot bigger as far as like its length, all the way shoreline to, SeaTac almost, essentially. And there's definitely some worse school districts in Seattle. So I think Bellevue, on average, they're all good, and they all average to be very good. But Seattle's got some that are really good. So if you're in the right spot, Seattle's a great, depending on where you're at, great school district. But also some are definitely not so good as well. It's more of the south side of Seattle. But yeah, overall, Bellevue wins if we're saying take the cake. So
For sure.
Cool.
For sure. Cool. What do you got on locations, just in general? I guess
where
so.
you're working.
Kind of like attractions, I guess, is what. I mean,
okay.
you're right next
Things
to
do
each other.
attractions.
You know?
Okay. Well, so they're both big cities, obviously.
Yep.
So Seattle's the OG, the original.
That's right.
And
Yes.
it definitely is bigger. It has more. Like their downtown is probably better, or sorry, has more than Bellevue downtown.
Mm-hmm.
Bellevue Way would be what I consider like the downtown, which is Bell Square, all the shopping, all the luxury shopping, all that. Very clean, huge, big sidewalks. The main difference, honestly, is like the cleanliness. Okay,
Yep.
so Seattle, if you don't know, if you're not from the area, Seattle is not very clean. It's an older city. It looks old, whereas Bellevue is a newer city, and it looks and feels new.
It's been growing. Yeah, I don't think it's any surprise. Well, maybe it is. Who knows? I mean, for us, it's not obviously, but Seattle, in terms of just safety and cleanliness, has gone downhill.
It has gone down.
When you're in downtown, you know, we're specifically talking about downtown Seattle. We're not talking about the
First
outside. We're not talking about the
Mayor's
outskirts of Seattle.
neighborhoods.
And they're not talking about the neighborhoods. But yes, I'm talking about downtown Seattle. I'm not talking about the neighborhoods. So don't let that scare you away from some of these other areas, obviously.
Yep.
But in terms of cleanliness, in Bellevue's gonna win out. It's just,
Yep.
I mean,
Bellevue's nicer.
and safety.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yep.
But on the topic where this was kind of brought up in the beginning about like entertainment things to do. So as far as that goes, they both are big cities. You know, Seattle has the Mariners game and the Seahawks game. Sounders, yeah, those are big ones that you're obviously not going to get in Bellevue. They both have
Kraken.
Kraken,
Sorry,
right?
yep.
That's true. So yeah, all the big ones, the events are in Seattle. But Bellevue's got a nice, Bellevue Square in the downtown, more luxury restaurants, dining, luxury shopping as well.
Sure.
So it kind of depends what you're looking for, but I guess Seattle probably has more things to do for sure.
Yeah, I think it has the bigger
Bigger events.
like the bigger events versus
Right.
Bellevue is like, hey, we can go grab a bite to eat in Bellevue and go bowling.
Yeah, date
or
night,
we can go to the comedy show in Bellevue still. Like it.
Yeah. True.
So it has a lot to offer, but not those big statewide events of sporting events or big. Circus Soleil was just in town, like stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
In
Seattle's still the big.
Yes.
You buy tickets to something, it's probably going to be in Seattle.
That's a good way to put it.
If you're going to get your own dinner, you just need a reservation. Yeah, tickets, Seattle. Anyway,
perfect.
Cool. Okay, what else we got?
Pike Place. You were going to touch on like kind of just the
things to
downtown
do.
stuff.
Yeah, okay, sure. Pike Place Market, the Mariners, Seahawks, the Ferris wheel's also downtown. So there's really a lot of stuff, but Bellevue's got a lot too. So
sure. Schools we did, prices we did, location fairly comparable. You're either on I-5 or you're on 405.
Yep.
You're both on 90.
Yep.
So location wise, it's comparable. You're in and out of there pretty quickly depending on where you're at. I will say this in Seattle, it's hard to drive around Seattle sometimes. Like there's the hills. This is something that people might not know, right? Like the first time. A lot of one-ways, a lot of hills. Like the first time I went to Boston, I think I got lost more than I actually was. I was driving around lost more than it took me to go where I was going, right?
Yeah.
And so Seattle has definitely got that older feel in terms of infrastructure.
Yep.
Whereas Bellevue is like, okay, this was built once we knew what we were doing.
Totally.
Straight roads.
Yes.
Blocks, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Don't drive a truck in Seattle.
And traffic too.
Parking garages.
Yeah, Seattle sucks for all of that. I hate to drive to Seattle for that reason.
True.
For just the driving, the experience, whatever you're there for, maybe it'd be great, but
parking's a nightmare.
Parking's terrible. You're not going to find like the street parking, so you have to do these garages, and it's the one-way streets. You don't know where if you don't know. So that's
and we live here.
And we're like, so it's tough in Seattle for that. And traffic in general. I mean, especially if you're going to a Mariners game or something, or Seahawks, there's going to be massive traffic. Now, Bellevue's a big city too, and there is going to be traffic on like Bellevue Way.
Sure.
But it's totally different. Seattle traffic takes the cake. So travel times, all that kind of stuff, Seattle is much worse than Bellevue for sure.
Yep.
So it's a good one.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
I think that's
everything else is the same way. Obviously, everything else is a push, but I think that pretty much covers it.
Yeah, I guess if I was someone who was relocating and there, you know what? Let's talk about industry, tech, stuff like that.
Okay.
So, interesting thing about Bellevue, and probably the main reason why it's become what it has today, is because Bellevue is the new Seattle as far as the tech industry is concerned. So Amazon is now in Bellevue. I think they have more employees there than Seattle, and so that's kind of a shift. There's also Expedia. Facebook, all these things are in Bellevue. Microsoft campus is in Redmond and Bellevue.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
true.
totally shifted. Seattle used to be where everything was at. You had to go to Seattle if you're in any sort of tech industry. Bellevue's taken that over. So I think that's a huge fact of why the prices have changed and why Bellevue is more desirable, I would say,
Yeah.
at this point.
Agreed. Yeah, Seattle's much more industrial right now.
Yeah.
Still, like that's how it started, and it still is.
And it's
but
growing.
now your tech is kind of
I think Bellevue will be the new San Francisco before Seattle is.
Yeah.
So it's kind of shifted. So.
Agreed.
But if I was someone who was, well, I'll let you answer this. If you were someone come from North Carolina, whatever, you're looking,
Sure.
you're working in either Seattle or Bellevue, whatever, somewhere in the area.
Yeah.
What would make your decision? You think?
Well, I think for me, it's just the cleanliness and it's the safety aspect of it, especially with family. Maybe if I'm young, I'm scrappy, I got a new job in the tech industry, I can kind of live wherever. Like, I'm gonna go save some money maybe in Seattle. I'm in downtown, it's cool. But like where I'm at now, it's definitely going to be more of a Bellevue decision.
Yes.
I would say Seattle too does draw and lean on kind of the arts more.
It's a different type of person.
There's more of like I don't want to call it underground, but like you've got smaller venues for like music and art and things like that, which is really cool. And that draws a lot of the people who enjoy those things. So. Again, for me, bias opinion, I'm going to Bellevue, but there are obviously draws to Seattle for the person.
Yeah, just depends definitely what you're looking for. If it's family, if you're 22, condo living, and you want to be in the big city, Seattle, then that's definitely going to be the easy one for you.
Sure.
And then the main thing is also going to be price. So I think those are the two things, like what the dynamic of the city, as far as like the cleanliness, family orientation, kind of that stuff, or if you like being in a big city or not. And then the price, like Bellevue may not work for you, and we're East Side people, so we are biased. If you're someone who's working in Bellevue and you're thinking about Seattle because you can't afford Bellevue, that's something that I might recommend you look at the East Side of like the Issaquah, or the Covingtons or whatever.
Totally. And I think that brings up a good point. It probably depends a lot on where you're coming from.
Yeah, if it's from a city or not.
Yeah. I mean, if you're coming from San Francisco.
Yeah. Seattle,
maybe it might not be a drastic change, right?
Right.
If you're coming from a small town in Texas, I don't know if Seattle's
probably neither of those two.
Exactly. I don't know if Seattle's gonna be the best fit for you. You might be moving farther out east, on the east side. So yeah.
Well, that's why we do these videos. So
call us
if you're from Texas or you're from San Francisco. We got you covered. But we have playlists for each of the cities. So we were born and raised in this area, so we know all of King County super well. So this is designed to help you figure out what these different cities are like. Hopefully, it's helpful. We're always just completely honest with how we feel about it. So check them out. If you're interested in Seattle, Bellevue, you probably also want to look at Kirkland, Redmond, Issaquah, Sammamish. They're all up in playlists, so check those out and then do your research. And then when you're ready to reach out, all the contact information is below. We'd love to talk to you about your move.